Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of magicreviewed.com. Let me read to you something here from a journal entry from my journal 11 years ago. My notes are very bullet pointy, but I think you'll get the message. Put deck in box as it goes up the sleeve, then fold the box up into a small packet and put it in wallet. Develop a way to start with folded box, unfold it, remove deck, use it, put it back in, fold it, put it away. So the idea was to have a deck of cards that, you know, I reach into my wallet, pull out a box of just the playing cards, and I put the box together and then pull a deck out. And then when I'm done, I put the deck back in the box and then fold the box back up and put it in my wallet. And my method was a way to extract the deck and go up my sleeve or inside my coat. And the method is developed. I have a picture of it, but I can't show it to you because it's the exact same method as unload. That's 2 reviews in the recent past where I had the idea and then somebody else beat me to the punch. This one I had 11 years ago. I have that in my journal documented. It's been there for a long time. And I had one little issue with my method that I hadn't figured out the best way to do this one piece. And he solved that one little thing. No, he didn't rip me off or anything like that. He just independently thought of it. So there's no bitterness there or anything like that, other than a little bum that turns out my idea was at least worthy of getting published. I don't know if it's the greatest idea in the world or not, but it's a method that would work for extracting a deck of cards out of a box. Anyway, so I tell you that just again as a bit of a disclaimer, so that you know that going into it, and then you can draw your own conclusions as to whether or not my review is biased based on that. I really tried hard not to make it biased. And if you saw the other effect that I had a similar idea to, which was Martin Mercy's version of Soul Survivor by Eugene Berger and Robert Neal, that he published with their permission, by the way. There's a little mini controversy about that. He has permission to publish it. Anyway, I had the same idea a few years back, and you saw that I gave him a good review. So I'm not going to just give bad reviews to products that I also thought of. Anyway, enough about me. Let's talk about Anthony Stan and unload. Again, the idea is you're getting 2 gimmicks. The card box is gimmicked, and then there's a gimmick that extracts the cards from the card box. And so the cool thing about the gimmicked box itself is the gimmick is you can't see it. You can, you know, when you're at the end of the effect, when you hand the box out, they're not going to find the gimmick. Okay, so that's one of the cool things about it, is that the box is gimmicked in such a way that it can do some other things besides just allow this extractor to do its job. And there are a few effects on the DVD in the bonus section of how to use just the box and not the extractor gimmick. Those you will have to be seated for, but they're still very clever ideas that are that make good use of the box's properties. Okay, so here's the thing. I went back and forth, banging my head against the wall, trying to give this thing a final star status. If you read my written review, you'll see it. You know, if you're watching this on magicreviewed.com, the written review is right below. If you're watching it on YouTube, there's a link to it right in the description to the written review. So one of the problems I had with my version was how to get the gimmick onto the deck of cards. He solved that problem. You get the gimmick onto the deck very easily in this version. But due to the nature of this version of it, of the unload version, there's a risk that once the deck extracts, that it might fall out of the extractor, and that it doesn't take much. I mean, so when I was playing with the gimmick, it never fell out, but I put it through a couple scenarios where that are very legitimate scenarios that made the deck start to get loose. And I was just paranoid about the risk of it falling out. So I don't know that it would actually fall out, but I think there is a possibility that it might. So that's something to be aware of. Now, there is something you can do. If I have a deck here, this won't expose anything, but it'll make sense if you own this product. While the deck is in the box, if you squeeze right here, you squeeze right there, right before you allow the extractor to do its job, the deck will stay in place and it will not fall out. On the flip side, though, if you do that, then retrieving the deck's a little trickier. Still doable, but a little trickier. And there are some effects where you do need to secretly retrieve the deck. And retrieving the deck's easy, but to do it secretly when nobody knows that you're retrieving the deck, there could be some fumbly, fiddly issues there if you've locked it in place a little bit. So, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right? Now, on top of that, so let me just give you an example here. I'm going to take this deck here. This is not the gimmick or anything like that. And then I want you to imagine that, oh, I don't know, this is a piece of paper that's about the size of a dollar bill. So the trick is you fold this up. Now, this is one of many different things you can do with this box. You fold it up, and then you drop it in, right? Close it up, hand it to the spectator, snap your fingers, they open it, and when they pull out, it will be an actual dollar bill, which not in this case because I didn't do it, but that's the idea. So that's a good effect, right? But the problem is, if I were to really do that, I would just be able to take this paper and throw it in there, right? Simple. That's how you would do that. But because of the nature of the gimmick, it doesn't look like that at all. It looks more like this. Oh, there. That's what it looks like. Not so clean, and if you're simply just trying to put a folded piece of paper in a card box, that's kind of silly. So the type of effects where you're using the box more as like a switching device with the extractor gimmick, but they're not. They're too fidgety and too fiddly, and they don't look good. And that's what it looked like when he did it on the DVD. It's not me making this up. So anything that uses the box to do like a switching thing, that uses the extractor gimmick to do a switching thing, is very fiddly and fishy, and I can't see that being a good thing to do. So anything that uses the extractor for switching, iffy. Now, to just make the deck vanish, this is perfect. I mean, this is exactly that. Well, not this, but the gimmick and everything is perfect, and it's exactly what I was trying to accomplish with my version. Except he solved the main problem of how do I hook the gimmick up, and that's it. So if you're looking to just vanish a deck of cards out of the box and do my folded up box thing, or not do the folded up box thing. I gotta quit holding that up. That's not the gimmick. How about this? This is perfect. That's exactly what it does. Now, putting the deck of cards into the box and into the gimmick, it's not. I wouldn't say it's necessarily fumbly, but it will take a little bit of practice to get past the awkwardness. But it's not anything that's insurmountable. Okay, so now there are other effects on there where you're putting the deck into the box, and again, here's not the gimmick box. This is not the gimmick box. You would be using the gimmick box to do what I'm about to explain. But you put the deck into the box, and then you hand the box to the spectator, and they open it up, and the deck has vanished, but there's one card inside, and it's their signed card. Okay, those effects where you're extracting the entire deck but leaving one card behind, and there's a few different ones on the DVD, those effects, they're a little more awkward because you have to put the deck into the box and put the deck into the gimmick, but not the selected card. It's got to go on the outside of the gimmick. Okay, and that can be a bit fidgety, and you know, I mean, you guys have done this kind of thing before, and you know, you got to kind of break it and stick it in there properly, and not look like it's very awkward to just simply put a deck of cards in a box. Now, granted, though this is a pretty simple thing to do, putting a deck of cards in a box, you know, even just under normal circumstances, it might be a little fidgety, you know, because the tabs get in your way and the lid gets in the way. And so the awkwardness there may be okay, and it might just look like you're just struggling a little bit to get the deck in. But once the deck's in, you know, the extractor does its job, and then you can immediately hand the deck to the person, and the trick's over. So the effects where you're leaving behind a selected card, there's a couple of issues. The one is the one I just mentioned, which is getting the card on the outside of the gimmick. The other issue is that sometimes when the extractor extracts itself, the selected card has a tendency to want to go along for the ride, and it could just fly out and just fall on the floor. And again, while I was playing around with the gimmick, that kind of thing I never had it fully come out, but if it comes out even a little bit, you run into a problem. And so it's risky. Now, there was one version where there's a hole in the box. If you watch the trailer, you'll see this. You put the deck back in, you hand the deck to the spectator, or you put it on the table, and you can see the hole, and you can see the cards through the hole. The spectator then pokes his finger in the hole, and suddenly the card just goes to the bottom, and there's no other deck in there, and you reach in, the spectator reaches in, and it's his selected signed card. The method used there adds a little extra something to make sure that that card will not accidentally extract itself with the gimmick. And so, and it's got the nice element that it's a visual effect where they can sort of feel it vanishing as they push on that button or the hole there. So if I were going to do an effect that left the selected card behind in the box and the rest of the deck vanished, I would do it with the hole in the back like that, so that way I don't run the risk of the extractor pulling out the selection. But there still is, even with that version, the awkwardness of getting that card into the right place outside of the gimmick. And to further complicate that, the thing that's different with the hole in the box version makes it even a little bit more awkward to get that card, that separated selection, into the right place. So, as you can see, I am of two minds about this thing. Part of me is like, yeah, this is a great idea. I thought of it, and I thought it was a great idea. Part of me thinks, yeah, but there's so many issues with this thing still. And so it's perfect for just vanishing a deck. It's perfect. I'd say there's hardly any issues to even have to think about to just vanish the deck. Vanishing a deck and leaving a selected card behind, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. So I don't know, guys. I gave it, in my written review, I gave it 2.5 stars with a stone status of Grubble, which is the one that's in the middle, right? To me, 3 stars felt a little too high, but 2.5 kind of feels a little too low. And so I really don't know what to rate this thing. I've given you the information you need to know. This isn't the kind of thing that I feel like it's just one of those. I mean, there are some products out there that just are crap, and they're like, you know, I almost put them in the scam category where the guy just threw the footage together and just, you know, made it all work with just camera angles and didn't really put a lot of effort or anything into the product. And I don't feel like that's what's happening here. I feel like this is a good product with good potential that has some issues that you need to work through. And so I may just, maybe I'll leave it at 2.5 stars and I'll go with Gem with a really small G, because there are some good possibilities here. I think $45 is a reasonable price considering that you get all the stuff that you need to make the gimmick, and you get the gimmick box and the gimmick that extracts it. You do have to put it together, but it took me 3 minutes to put it together. So I don't know, guys. I don't know. In fact, I'm not going to give it an official star rating on this video. You're going to have to go to the written review, which right now the written review says 2.5 stars. But I'm starting to reconsider that a little bit, so I may change that. So if you want the official star rating for this product, Unload, you're going to have to go read the written review. sorry. It's just one of those things where I'm back and forth just trying to figure out, you know, calling it rubble is inappropriate because it's not rubble. Calling it a gem is also not necessarily appropriate. Maybe a gem, a little gem, maybe a grubble. I don't know. Anyway, I'll shut up. You can just go read the written review and like this video and subscribe to my channel while you listen to the random iTunes song of the moment, which is Iron Maiden, Wrathchild. This one comes up a lot. I think this very song has come up 2 or 3 times. You know, this is off of the Killers album from Iron Maiden, Wrathchild. So, there you have it, folks. Thanks for watching. Sorry about not having a decision on this video. Hopefully by the time you read the written review, I will have decided. See you tomorrow, where it will be day 15 of 15 videos for the new year. One a day. Peace out, guys.